Augustus did not govern Rome alone. He could not have. No single man could personally rule an empire of roughly 50 million people. An empire of roads, ports, aqueducts, armies, taxes, provinces, grain ships, client kings, senators, magistrates, priests, poets, informers, and soldiers waiting on distant frontiers. Rome had become too large for one mind, too complex for one pair of hands, too dangerous for one man to control without help. So who was really governing Rome? That was the question Rome never asked too loudly. Because Rome had already agreed to believe a fiction. The fiction was this: Augustus was just a citizen. A first citizen, perhaps. A citizen with unusual responsibilities. A citizen with more honors than most. But still, only a citizen. He was not. And everyone knew he was not. But that was the genius of the system. The lie did not need to be convincing. It only needed to be useful. Augustus was the face of Rome, the calm face, the modest face, the face of restoration, the face that told the Senate it still mattered. The face that told the people the wars were over. The face that told the world the Republic had returned. But behind that face stood a machine. And inside that machine were three people without whom the Augustan order might not have survived its first decade. A soldier, a storyteller, and a wife. The first was Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa. He was not born to rule. He did not come from one of Rome's sacred old families. He had no ancient name that opened doors before he entered the room, no mythological bloodline, no inherited greatness, only ability.
The name, the blood.
And in Augustus's Rome, ability could be more valuable than ancestry. Agrippa was the man who made Octavian's rise possible.
We have an understanding.
When other aristocrats looked at Octavian and saw Caesar's fragile teenage heir, Agrippa saw something else: a cause, a future, a man worth building an empire around. And then he built it. Agrippa won the battles Augustus needed to win. He defeated Sextus Pompey at sea. He broke Antony and Cleopatra's fleet at Actium. He understood ships, supplies, formations, harbors, roads, and timing. He was the kind of man history often hides behind a more famous name. But without Agrippa, there is no Augustus. Without Agrippa, Actium may not be won. Without Actium, there is no empire. And Agrippa did not stop at war. When the killing ended, he became something rarer. A general who could build. Rome's greatness did not rest only on marble speeches and imperial titles. It rested on water. On grains, on roads, on ports, on bridges, on the invisible systems that made a city of 1 million people possible. Agrippa understood that. He repaired aqueducts, expanded Rome's water supply, cleaned sewers, built baths, porticos, gardens, and public spaces. He gave the city not only monuments, but function. He helped make Rome livable. Augustus would later claim that he found Rome built of brick and left it in marble. It was one of the most famous lines of his reign. But much of that marble had Agrippa's fingerprints on it. The original Pantheon bore Agrippa's name. The Aqua Virgo, completed under his supervision, brought fresh water into the city and would continue to shape Rome for centuries. He even helped map the Roman world itself, not as a fantasy, not as a myth, but as a possession, measured, surveyed, organized, known. That was Agrippa's mind. He turned conquest into infrastructure. He turned victory into administration. He turned Augustus's power into roads, water, stone, and order. And for more than 2 decades, he was the second most powerful man in the Roman world. General, administrator, builder, son-in-law, partner. The man Augustus trusted with armies, cities, provinces, and eventually his own family. When Agrippa died in 12 BC, Augustus wept, and Rome may have realized for the first time how much of Augustus's Rome had actually been Agrippa's Rome. But empires are not held together by roads alone. They also need stories. That was the world of Gaius Maecenas. Maecenas was different from Agrippa in almost every way. Agrippa built with stone. Maecenas built with words. Agrippa commanded fleets. Maecenas managed rooms.
Tell them the story of the victory.
Agrippa could win a battle before dawn. Maecenas could change what people believed about the battle after it was over. He was not a consul, not a general, not a man covered in official titles. He did not need to be. His power was softer, quieter, more dangerous in a different way.
The Senate will not move without it.
Maecenas was Augustus's friend, advisor, and cultural architect. He understood something every durable regime must understand. Power needs beauty. Force can make people obey, but stories can make people want to obey. The legions could hold the borders, the tax collectors could feed the treasury, the governors could manage the provinces, but poetry could do something no army could do. It could make empire feel like destiny.
Domus. Reditus.
Maecenas found poets, protected them, funded them, gave them houses, safety, status, and proximity to power. Virgil, Horace, Propertius, a circle of writers who would teach Rome how to imagine itself. This was not crude propaganda, that would have been too obvious. Maecenas was too intelligent for that.
The harmony of the surf.
He did not need poets to shout that Augustus was great. He needed them to make Rome feel that Augustus was inevitable. The Aeneid was not merely a poem about a Trojan prince. It was a political vision. Aeneas fleeing the ruins of Troy, carrying his father, leading his son, suffering, wandering, sacrifice, and obeying fate. And through him, Rome could tell itself a new story. Rome was not the product of violence, ambition, and civil war. Rome was destiny. Rome was sacrifice. Rome was the will of the gods moving through history. And Augustus was not a dictator standing on the wreckage of a republic. He was the fulfillment of something ancient, something sacred, something Rome had always been moving toward. That was Maecenas' genius. He made power sound like fate. He made obedience sound like patriotism. He made the new order beautiful enough that Rome could look at it and see not conquest, but meaning. But even armies and stories were not enough, because the Augustan system was also a court, and every court has doors. Every door has someone who controls who enters. In Augustus's house, that person was Livia. Livia Drusilla, his wife for more than 50 years. Not a decoration, not a symbol, not a silent woman standing in the background of men's history. Livia was one of the most powerful women the ancient world ever produced. And she achieved that power inside a system that especially gave women almost none. She could not command a legion. She could not stand for consul. She could not vote in the assemblies. She could not sit in the Senate. But she could do something just as important. She could control access. And in a system where access is everything, that is power. Who reached Augustus? Who waited? Who was heard? Who was dismissed? Who received favor? Who disappeared from the room before a decision was made? These things shaped the empire as much as laws did. Livia understood the politics of closeness. She built networks, cultivated loyalties, managed family alliances, watched rivals, protected interests. She knew that Rome was no longer governed only in the Senate. It was governed at dinner, in corridors, in private conversations, in the quiet spaces where public decisions were born before they ever became public. Augustus trusted her, consulted her, lived with her longer than many Romans lived at all. And Rome, which officially denied women formal power, could not deny what she had become. After Augustus died, Livia was adopted into his family and became Julia Augusta. Later, she would be deified, made divine, a goddess. Rome did not do that for a woman who had been irrelevant. It did that for a woman who had become part of the state itself. Together, Agrippa, Maecenas, and Livia formed the architecture beneath the architecture. Agrippa gave the regime muscle and stone. Maecenas gave it memory and myth. Livia gave it access, continuity, and dynastic intelligence. Augustus was the visible system. They were the system behind him.
The system that makes him possible.
But even the strongest system has one fatal weakness. It must survive its founder. And that was the problem Augustus could never fully solve. he had no son. That single fact haunted the last 30 years of his reign. Because Rome could pretend that Augustus was only a citizen, it could pretend the Republic had returned, it could pretend the Senate still ruled. But succession exposed the truth. A republic does not need an heir, a monarchy does, and Augustus needed an heir. First, there was Marcellus. Young, noble, promising, the son of Augustus's sister Octavia, the kind of man Rome could accept because his bloodline made sense. Augustus married him to his daughter Julia. The signal was obvious. But Marcellus died young. The first door closed.
I offer you my sister, Julia.
Then Augustus turned to Agrippa. If noble blood was not enough, proven ability would have to carry the future. Julia was married to Agrippa. The builder of the empire became part of the imperial family, and from that marriage came sons, Gaius, Lucius, boys with the blood of Augustus and the legacy of Agrippa. Augustus adopted them, raised them, displayed them, prepared Rome to see them as the future. The succession finally looked secure. The machine would continue. Rome had heirs. Then Lucius died, 2 AD.
All is lost, my lord. Both have perished.
Then Gaius died, 4 AD. Within 2 years, the future Augustus had spent decades constructing, collapsed. Both boys were gone. Augustus was old. The empire was vast. The system was powerful. But power without succession is a loaded weapon on a table. Someone will pick it up. There was one option left, the option Augustus had avoided for years. Tiberius, Livia's son from her first marriage, Augustus's stepson. A brilliant soldier, a cold political presence, a man respected more than loved. Tiberius had served the state, fought its wars, secured its frontiers, obeyed Augustus's demands, even when those demands broke his personal life. He had been forced to divorce the woman he loved and marry Julia, Augustus's daughter, for dynastic reasons. He had withdrawn from public life. He had returned. He had watched younger men be placed ahead of him. He understood the system perhaps better than anyone, and he hated what it required. That made him useful and dangerous. In 4 AD, Augustus adopted Tiberius. Rome had its heir. But the choice revealed the fragility of everything Augustus had built. The greatest political machine in ancient history had no perfect successor. Only survivors, only compromises, only the man left standing when the preferred future had died. Augustus had spent his life hiding monarchy beneath republican language, but succession stripped the disguise away. The question was no longer whether Rome had a republic. It did not. The question was whether the machine could pass from one man to another without breaking the world again. When Augustus died in 14 AD, Rome did not elect its future. It inherited it.
Augustus Caesar has passed away. His will is delivered.
The Senate still met, the old words were still spoken, the ceremonies still continued, but everyone understood what mattered. The armies had to accept Tiberius. The court had to accept Tiberius. Livia had to manage the transition. The system had to convince itself that this was normal, and that may be Augustus's final victory. He made one-man rule transferable. Sulla had power. Caesar had glory. Augustus had a system. And a system can survive the death of the man who built it. But survival is not the same as wisdom, because once power becomes a machine, the most important question is no longer who built it. The question is, who gets to use it next? In our next episode, Rome at its zenith. 50 million people, 25 legions, one Mediterranean world held under a single political order. And one question: why did the world not resist?